And welcome to or welcome back, friends,
to Books and Crannies,
a book lovers podcast.
That's right. I'm Danielle.
I'm Sarah.
And guys, we're back.
We're back.
Hi.
We took a little bit of a
hiatus.
unplanned hiatus.
Sure did.
But we needed a friggin' gosh darn break.
We did, guys. We went at it for a year.
We did.
We didn't take a break through the holiday, which was our mistake.
Yeah.
Holidays. And the United States is a weird place to live right now.
Yeah.
So.
And it's really, really hitting both of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
As I'm sure many of you feel the same.
Yeah. It's been a time over here, guys. So we
Yeah.
just needed a little bit of a breather.
Yeah.
And life is busy. It doesn't stop regardless of what's going on. So I think it's probably good for us to do that.
Yeah.
But we've missed this and we've missed each other. So we're glad to be back.
Yeah.
And
happy frickin' New Year.
Happy New Year, man. It's 2025. What the heck? What the heckins?
How did that happen?
I know. Unfortunately, it has come.
Yeah.
But, yeah. And we are kicking off the year with a historical fiction.
Yeah. We're reading, or we read. We're talking about.
Yeah.
the first 11 chapters of The Nightingale by Kristin Hannah.
Heck yeah. We both love The Women by her.
Yeah.
And we've loved all of the historical fiction we've picked up since we read The Huntress on the podcast. So we're excited to talk about it.
Yeah.
But before we do that, how the heck are you, dude?
I'm freaking good. I'm so excited to see you.
I know.
It's been a whole month. That's absurd.
That's ridiculous.
I went from seeing you every week for a year.
I know.
To
nada. A whole month break.
Yeah.
That's nonsense.
I know.
If nothing else, we need to do this even if nobody listens, just because
I'm
we
saying.
get to see each other. Yeah. I'm glad you're good.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Well, good.
Yeah. I'm happy to be doing this. I feel like I've just been super freaking exhausted lately.
Same.
I'm also getting over sickness. And yeah, my mental is wacky, so I gotta focus on that, which has been challenging. But
Yeah.
I'm okay.
I feel like doing little things like this helps with my mental health for sure.
For sure.
Like I've been really slumpy the last month.
Yeah, same. And I am working with a new lady, a life coach lady, and it's been very interesting. And I was doing solidly, and then I took a break from that too. And it's just kind of, I think the 2-week off work at home really threw me off too.
Yeah.
And it's winter, and that never helps.
Mm-hmm.
And everything else.
Yeah.
But
for
I'm
sure.
all right. I was also in a book slump for a hot minute. Like I had so much trouble reading and concentrating and absorbing anything from the books I was reading. So
Yeah.
but it's okay. We're bouncing back. We're getting back to it.
Yeah.
I'm certain this will help.
Yeah.
And
I hope so.
yeah, we're glad to be here. I hope you guys are all doing okay.
Yeah.
And that you had a good new year.
Yeah.
And that you're kicking off the year strong.
And that
regardless.
you're doing okay with all of the things happening in our world.
We see you and we love you.
Yeah.
You're not alone. We'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, instead of talking about that.
Yeah.
Shall we talk about The Nightingale chapters 1 through 11?
Sure. I do want to preface this episode by saying that I read this section a month ago.
Yeah.
Because we were supposed to record this a month ago.
Sure were.
And I did not have time to reread it. Danielle, however, did. So I might just be a silent little chicken over here this episode.
Piping up every now and then.
I'd be like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I did read it yesterday. So hopefully I at least have the general idea. But again, my brain's kind of been all over the place.
We'll see.
So we're going to dive in.
I'm sure that you talking will spark memories in me as
Probably.
they normally do. Like,
Yeah.
we bounce off each other. It's good. It's
Fine.
great.
It's going to be great. But before we do that, y'all should get freaking cozy.
Yeah. And get a snack.
And a drink.
And a blanket, because it's fucking cold.
It's so cold, dog. This last weekend, it was like negatives.
Yeah. I have a client at work who has family in Georgia, I want to say.
Yeah.
And they got like 10 inches of snow.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, our climate isn't changing at all.
No.
Yeah. There's snow everywhere. It was frigidly cold, painfully cold.
So cold.
But it's warmed up slightly.
Yeah.
We're now at freezing instead of well below.
Yes.
So that's good, I guess. But it's still cold, so get a blankie. Maybe put some slippies on.
For sure.
Or like
earmuffs,
warm socks.
But you gotta put your headphones on in your earmuffs.
Right.
Because you have to be able to hear us.
Yeah, obviously. Maybe mittens if you need them.
Snuggle with your pup.
Yeah. Hot cocoa?
Or your cat.
You can make it like a peppermint schnapps hot cocoa.
Ooh, yummy.
Get saucy.
Ooh.
Why not?
That sounds delicious.
I know. I had butterscotch schnapps hot chocolate recently, and it was delicious.
Interesting.
It was
I don't
very
know
good.
how I feel about butterscotch and chocolate.
It was like candy.
Okay.
Do you like butterscotch?
I love butterscotch.
Okay, then you'd like it.
Okay.
Because it doesn't taste like anything but sugar and chocolate and butterscotch.
You know how I feel about chocolate, though.
I know, but
I have to be in the
butterscotch was
mood.
the main flavor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would try it.
Okay.
But I also love peppermint hot chocolate.
Yeah.
So peppermint schnapps, come on.
Come on.
Come on.
So yeah, do all that.
Yeah.
And buckle up.
Yeah.
And let's chat, guys. Let's get cozy.
Do it.
Let's get bookish.
Yeah.
And sit in our happy place, which hopefully is books for you too. So
yeah.
If not, what the heck are you doing here?
Really, though.
Come on. So anyway, this is based in World War II.
Mm-hmm. In France.
Times in France. Francais.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it is another bunch of ladies, which I'm loving.
I love women.
Me too. Women are the greatest. And the first chapter, though, it's like an old woman.
Yeah.
Who is dying.
Mm.
She's very ill. And she is being moved out of her house to go live into a facility. I'm assuming a hospice or something.
Okay.
And she is packing up, and she goes up to the attic to look through this box of memorabilia with like all of her kids' things and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And mixed in that, I'm assuming, is war memorabilia. And there's an ID card with a name that when her son comes up to check on her, he doesn't recognize.
Okay.
So there's some secrets hidden in her trunk.
Oh.
Mysterious secrets.
Interesting.
Yeah. And in all of that stuff, too, there was some poetry books from a man with the last name Rossignol or something, who is then mentioned. So, like, that ties back. I'm just saying it.
Yeah.
Okay. But we don't know who she is. We don't know her name. We don't know anything about her.
Yeah.
Minus that she's dying and moving.
Great.
Yeah.
Poor lady.
I know. But then we jump to Vianne. Vianne? Vianne?
I'd say Vianne.
Vianne? Yeah. That's kind of what I was leaning towards.
Like Vivian, but without the
yeah.
The second the.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So Vianne, she is a woman, if you didn't know. And it's a chapter about her and her little family. She's got a husband, a little daughter named Sophie. Mm-hmm. And they're like having a family day, but there's all sorts of talk about the war on the news. Yeah. And the husband keeps bringing it up, like stressed about the war. And he's acting a little bit different with his daughter and kind of like aloof, and he's smoking even though he doesn't normally smoke, and like seemingly stressed. Yeah. And they go off and have their little family day, come home, and they're like, it's fine. The war's not going to come to Paris because we have this wall between us and the Germans. Mm-hmm. Like, they cannot penetrate it. It'll be fine. Yeah. But then after little girl goes down to bed, the dad's like, I am being drafted. Yeah. And I got to leave in a few days.
Oh.
Yeah.
Poor guy.
And she's like, oh, God.
Ah, shit.
Ah, holy shit. And we learn that she's a school teacher. Yeah. And her best friend Rachel across the street is also a school teacher. Yeah. And they met quite some time ago. Mm-hmm. And her husband's also being drafted. Yeah. So they're like in it together. But we also get some backstory a bit about Vianne.
And her sister.
And her sister Isabel. Yeah. And how their mom died when they were fairly young. Mm-hmm. And the dad, he was in the first World War I. Yeah. And he came back changed, as I feel like is natural. Yeah. And after the mom died, he basically just gave up on parenting and left them at this house that now Vianne owns. Le Jardin or something. In the care of some mistress. And Vianne and Isabel were both there, but Vianne essentially ended up abandoning Isabel too because she met her now husband and had a baby at like 16. Yeah. And they bought that house and everything. Mm-hmm. And then she was having trouble conceiving and having a baby and had multiple losses. And with all the stress of that, sent Isabel back to her dad. Yeah. Which then he sent her off to some like other preparatory schools or something for good little girls. Because
she's a troublemaker.
And he couldn't parent anymore. So we learned some of that backstory. Yeah. But we hear from Vianne's point of view, you know, several days later, they take the husband to the train station and send him off to war. And she's all like, you'll be home by Christmas. Yeah. And it's like,
see August you soon, baby.
Something. Yeah, October. And then we jump to Isabel. Yeah. And as it stands in the beginning of this book, she is like at a different school where they're teaching her how to cut up a fucking orange with a fork and knife. Like,
how to be a proper lady.
Etiquette for a proper young woman.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who in their right mind would eat a fucking orange?
Cut an orange with a fork and a knife.
With cutlery. Come on. Poor Isabel.
Dumb.
And of course she's like, this is stupid. And trying to like stab it and getting all weird about it. And the madame is like, yo, you got to go to the headmistress's office and tell her our experiment is over. And so Isabel gets kicked out of school.
Yeah.
And has to go back to her dad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pissed about it.
Yeah.
Whoa. And when she gets there, she's like, I just want to live with you. And he's like, yeah, whatever. She's like, I'll work at your bookshop and like do all these things. And so he ends up taking her in for a time, but is obviously like making plans to get rid of her again. Mm-hmm. All the while, Vianne is like working and managing her daughter and trying to keep sane and positive. Yeah. But also like steps into new roles of like managing finances and stuff, which she hasn't had to do before.
Yeah.
And the time is passing and the war is kicking up.
Yeah.
And so while Isabel's with her dad.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She
tell me more.
Yeah. She is there like visiting a boy or something and then goes to the bookstore to work with her dad. And as they're headed home, they start hearing like shakes and trembles and all sorts of stuff. Mm-hmm. And run up to their apartment and look out the windows and see bombs starting to drop.
Yeah.
And so then they go down the basement, shelter, hunker down.
Yeah.
Only then to come back up and be like, okay,
shit.
This entire area that we live in is being overrun by Nazis, and people are just leaving in mass. Yeah. Like, the streets are full of thousands of people walking.
Fleeing. Yeah.
In cars that are moving, not at all in the mass of people. Like, they're just getting the fuck out of there with what they can carry. And so the dad's like, okay, you've got to go. And she's like, no, let me stay and help, because she idolizes a woman of war. I don't remember her name. Cavell, maybe. Anyway, and she's like, I want to help in the efforts. Like, I could, be a nurse. I could do something to help them. And the dad's like, no, you need to get the hell out of here. Yeah. She's like, I could help you at the bookstore. I could do all these things. He's like, no. So he sets it up so that a friend of his or a person he knows is going to drive her to her sister's house. Or at least as far as they can take her. Yeah. And so she gets pushed into this car.
Thrown in.
He like drags her from the home and throws her in this car with this family that's like doesn't want her but said they do it. Yeah. And there's like 3 little girls, the mom and dad, and they're like, what, did you bring any food? And she's like, I got books and money. Yeah. And they're like, oh, books are gonna help you, idiot. She's got like a little dress
as if she had a choice. Like,
I know. And she had no expectations of it being what it was. Like, her entire understanding going in was that she was going to take a like 4-hour road trip to her sister's house or something. But along the way, they run out of gas. Like, you can't stop. You're stuck. You're going no miles an hour for most of it. While people are just walking by you, haggard and rough and having a time. And so when the car finally runs out of gas, they all get out. And she is immediately, like, overcome by the crowd. Like, they're pushing her around, trying to take her bag, all of this stuff. And in that, she loses sight of the family. They just ditch her.
They're like, bye.
Yeah.
Sucker.
We're not adding another mouth to feed. Like, you got this. And so she has no choice but just to keep walking with this massive tens of thousands of people crowd.
Yeah.
That's horrifying.
It's absolutely horrifying.
I want to thank you her about it.
Yeah.
And so she starts her lonely journey for hours and hours walking in this mass of sweaty people with crying babies. Nobody has food. Yeah. Along the way, people are stopping. People are like resting.
Dying of dehydration and starvation. And
there's multiple like off the road newly dug graves. Yeah. People are dropping all their shit because they can't carry it anymore. And she knows that all of the like first towns that they encounter are going to be just completely sucked dry immediately because the first people to get there, they're going to take all the resources. And so she like steers off the beaten path and starts exploring some to get away from the crowd and like clear her head and try to figure out a plan. Mind you, she's in like little heels. Like she's not dressed for walking miles and miles and miles.
No.
And as she's stumbling through some wooded area, she like smells some cooking meat and sees a fire and goes towards it, not thinking. And then as soon as she's like almost there, she's like, oh shit, I probably should like think about my safety. But then a twig snaps and the guy's like, you might as well come over here. You're Thompson.
Yeah.
Like, I heard you from miles away. And she goes up and sits with this mysterious guy who, come to find his name, Gate.
Yeah.
And he's like, hey, you want some meat?
You want some
She's
squirrel?
like, don't be creepy. And he's like, I just got out of prison.
But you don't got to worry, sweetie.
But I'm not scary, I promise. And he like stole some shit or something. But they opened the prisons because of this fiasco. And so there's just prisoners on the loose.
Spooky.
And and he's talking about how he wants to go help in the war efforts and that she should come with him.
Yeah.
And he like plans to stop to see family ahead of doing that. And she's like, well, I want to see my sister and her baby. And he's like, we'll do that and we'll do this. And then we're going to go help in the war efforts.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And like trusts him immediately. And kind of is like lustful towards him almost immediately.
Yeah.
Very
she's
trusting,
like, oh,
naive
baby.
young woman. Yeah. So they carry on their journey. And I think we flash back to Vianne in some of this, and it's just mostly like her and Rachel trying to survive, and Sophie asking after her dad all the time. Yeah. But then I'm also getting the news that the line, Maginot Line or something, has fallen. Yeah. This wall between Germany and France, and that those Nazis are coming. They're coming in. Yeah. And so they keep walking. They're walking.
That's got to be so ominous, like knowing that it's coming and just. Ugh.
I know.
Ugh.
I know.
This is like not the greatest book to be reading right now.
I know. The more I'm talking about it, I'm like, no.
I'm sure by the end of it, though, we'll be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, probably. Empowered women. Yeah. Empowering women.
Damn straight.
Yeah. But then we flash to Vianne again, and all of this, she like comes home one day with her kid after hearing about the fall and not knowing if her husband's going to come home because he was at the front lines. Yeah. Not having any word of like the soldiers there, but also knowing that the Germans have taken prisoners, like a ton of them. So they don't know the status of their husbands. Yeah. And she gets home, the daughter's asking after the dad a lot and super distressed, and so mom like puts her down and she needs to clear her head, so she goes outside to start gardening. And she starts hearing weird noise, like massive people walking. Yeah. Perhaps.
I have a question first. Wasn't at some point while they were walking, didn't they get like bombs dropped on the crowd of walking people?
Yeah, while Isabel and Gate are walking still, the Nazis come flying and drop bombs on innocents. And it's mostly like women and children. Yeah. Because all of the men are at the lines. Yeah. Yeah. And Gate like covers her with his body and like protects her, and she sees like a little toddler next to his dead mother, and he's like, we gotta keep going, like we can't stay stagnant. So yeah, they got bombed. Yeah. Just civilians trying to escape. And yeah, so Vianne, while gardening, suddenly 3 women approach her gate. She has like a gated front lawn. And she goes up to them and they're like, do you have any provisions, like water, food, whatever? And she's like, yeah, of course. You want to come in? She's like, no, don't open these gates. Like, we're the first of them. Yeah. These women say, like, very ominously. And she's like, okay. And like runs and grabs them some shit. And the women are like, you need to go inside.
Get inside. Yeah. Lock your shit down.
Lock the fucking door. Yeah. Go inside. So she does. She runs in, locks up all the doors and the windows and stuff. And shortly thereafter, she starts hearing a ruckus outside. Yeah. And it's
like
just
a stampede
of people pounding on their doors and windows,
knocking down her gate,
trifling through all of her garden. Anything that can be eaten will be taken. And her daughter is awoken by this, of course. And they're just like cowering and sitting in the middle of their home while their house is being beaten upon and all of their shit outside is being taken, water and crops, etc. Yeah. So they end up falling asleep together. And I think it jumps to Isabel at that point because she arrived with the mob of people and tried to knock on her sister's door. But of course, sister's not answering. Yeah. Because there's a mob of fucking people outside.
Yeah. And sister is in bad shape because, you know, she had bombs dropped on her and shit. Yeah. And she's like rough.
Dehydrated, starving. Yeah. And Gate's like, where can we sleep? Like, what can we do? And so they go to the pergola on the property, and they're like snuggling up. Like, she asks him to stay with her, and so he snuggles up to her, and they kiss, and she tells him she loves him, which is intense.
Yeah.
And he is taken aback by that. And when she wakes up,
he's gone. He
and
said, bye, psycho bitch.
Yeah, he pinned a note to her clothes that said, you are not ready, or something. And Isabel finds her and brings her inside and gets her cleaned up and put to bed. And then she comes down to eat.
Yeah.
And Isabel's like, they're robbing innocents. She's like going off like, I need to help. I'm not going to stay here long.
Yeah.
I need to like recoup my energy, and I'm going to go out and find a way to help. And Van's like, don't be fucking stupid. Like, you need to stay safe and stay here and all of these things. And they keep having this back and forth. Only then to find and hear, I guess, that over the radio, the French have surrendered. And so there's a large portion of France that is completely Nazi controlled. And then there's this new established government that is in collaboration with the Nazis.
Yeah.
So France is fallen, and Isabel's like, no, that can't be it. Like, that can't be it. The French should stand. She's all worked up and upset about it. And of course, as soon as it's Nazi occupied France, there's food rations to concern yourself with. There's like, you can't get shit. And and more than that, the Nazis start moving into their town and like establishing control. Yeah. And all the while, Isabel's like, this is bullshit. I have to find a way to fight it. And they get summoned by the Germans to come to a meeting. And in that meeting, the Germans are essentially like, hey, so we're here, and don't fuck around and you'll stay alive. Like, there's a mandated curfew. You have to return in all your radios. You
and
have
weapons.
All of your weapons. You have to, XYZ Nazi rules. Yeah. And, of course, Isabel's fired up about it. Van's like, just keep your head down. Like, we can't be noticed. Don't draw attention to us. Like, if nothing else, you need to protect my fucking daughter. Like, you can't be causing drama. Yeah. And Isabel's like, well, fuck you.
I'm going to do what I want.
And then, shortly thereafter that, they're establishing their air base, which is the reason why they came to this specific town. And a Nazi soldier comes knocking. He says,
excuse me, I'm moving in.
Yep, I'm going to come belay in your home. Yeah. My name's Beck. And so you guys can either like stay with me, or you can leave the house to me and you probably won't ever get it back. Yeah. And Van's like, a house full of women? Like, that's completely inappropriate. My husband's going to be home soon. Yeah. Like, once he's home, he can deal with all of this. Can you come back in a few days? And she still has no idea the status of her husband. Like, I think after the surrender, they were all under the impression that then that meant that all of the people in the front lines were coming home. Yeah. Never mind the prisoners of war, etc. Yeah. Yeah. So really, they don't have a choice but to let him live with them. Yeah. And Isabel,
unless they want to die.
Yeah. And he's like, I won't be no trouble. And like, he seems mildly human to Vienne because he's talking about his wife and his kids, and seems relatively polite, and keeps talking about how like we're ordered to be gentlemen, and my mother would slap me if she knew I was anything less, and like all of this shit. But Isabel, of course, can't stop her fucking mouth and keeps saying some stupid shit around him. Yeah. And at one point, Van's like, or Isabel tells Van, like, I have to leave because I don't trust myself around him. And Van, before this, had gone in and like sternly said, you need to watch it because it's not just your life we're talking about.
Yeah. You're affecting all of us.
Yeah. And my daughter is in line in question and all of these things. Yeah. And so Isabel's like, well, I may as well just leave because I don't trust myself either. I'm going to go to Paris and like see if I can join up with some more effort or something. And so she leaves in the middle of the night while they're all at home. Yeah. She like sees Vienne looking chummy with Beck outside while he's smoking a cigarette.
Gets all salty.
She's like, your new best friend, huh? Yeah. It's like, there's not a choice though. Like, I don't.
Yeah, and if I'm gonna have some random Nazi soldier in my house, I'm gonna be nice to that motherfucker because I don't want to get killed.
Yeah, especially with a little girl that you gotta take care of. Yeah. Like, I can't. I mean, all of this is like unfathomable to an extent. I'm like, yeah. But like, I don't see myself in any situation doing anything other than whatever it takes to stay alive. Yeah. Like, and yes, joining the war effort sounds nice and mighty in theory, right? But like an average person you tell me you're going to stand up to a Nazi warrior and try to get out and help the war effort.
Right.
Like, what are you going to do?
Right. And I will say that this guy, like, he really does seem like a decent person. Like, he doesn't want to be in the situation that he's in.
Yeah.
Putting these people out of their homes, but, like, he has to.
Yeah.
He's doing what he has to do.
He's being ordered, and he keeps saying, too, like, you know, we all hope that we'll go home soon. And, like, he mentions it, too.
Yeah.
But once Isabel leaves, it's past curfew because, again, they instated a curfew.
Yeah.
And she gets stopped, and she can't leave the city without, like, a note from the Germans or something. Like, she can't leave until she gets permission to.
Yeah.
And so her whole plan is foiled, and she has to go back to the house and just start finding other ways, is what her mind says. Is like, okay, what can I do while I'm here? And so she starts taking on anything that Vianne asks. Like, she is now in charge of going and getting their daily rations,
food rations,
making sure they get them every day and getting there early so she can get something that isn't, you know, bottom of barrel, because of course the Germans coming in are eating all the best food and, you know,
they're just getting scraps.
Yeah. And so that starts to become the new routine, where Isabel's going out super early in the morning to get food, and in one of her stops, like waiting in a ration line, she finds a piece of chalk on the ground and pockets it, and she's like, what am I going to do with this? And and after she gets her rations, she like ends up in an alleyway and starts drawing V's on the Nazi propaganda because, you know, it's wild, the Nazi propaganda.
Yeah. Propaganda.
Yeah. And V for victory is what she's doing.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden she's like accosted, like a man grabs her from behind and is like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Writing on these signs, and she assumes it must be
a Nazi.
A Nazi.
And he like pulls her into a building.
He like comes to a door and knocks on it.
Yeah.
And he's like, let us in. And they go in. And she soon realizes that they're not German. Like, all of the men in the room are from France and etc. And she starts calling them out. She's like, you guys aren't German. You're like this, and I know you. You're the butcher. And, like, starts saying things. And he's like, yeah, okay. And prior to this, we failed to mention there was another, like, broadcast that she heard talking about de Gaulle or something. General de Gaulle, who is essentially saying, like, France is not giving up. Like, he was, like, on a different frequency, and it's like, hey, we gotta resist,
listen up.
And so now she's got General de Gaulle on the mind, and it's like, I'm gonna resist with him.
Yeah.
And it seems like these men are working with him in some capacity. And they're like, you know, because you're this cute little young girl,
no one will suspect you of anything.
Wouldn't get caught delivering our propaganda.
Yeah.
Their French resistance propaganda. So, like, can you take this and deliver? And she's like, hell yeah, my opportunity.
Yeah. Something to do. Hell yeah.
Something to do. That's right. And so she starts doing that.
Yeah.
And it's a little like, Vienna's a little suspicious of her whereabouts, but she also is like, she must be meeting a boy.
Yeah.
Because she sneaks out at like 4 a.m. and
she leaves real early.
Yeah.
To go get their food rations, in quotes.
Yeah. And then one day, Beck comes to Vienna, and he's like, hey, I know you were asking after your husband, and I have learned that he was among a long list of men who are prisoner of war, and they're not coming home.
Yeah.
And Vienna's like, oh, fuck.
Ah, shoot. Oh. And Rachel's husband, too.
Rachel's husband, too. It's most of the men in that town are prisoners of war. And so while Isabel's passing out her secret resistance propaganda, Vianne goes to Rachel to tell her the news, and then they gather all of the women in the town whose husbands are prisoner of war to let them know. And Beck had given them some like German postcards so they could fill them out and send them to the husband.
Yeah.
It's multiple.
Yeah.
And
the
so,
husband. The one husband of this whole town.
Yeah. And so Vianne has them all fill out postcards and takes them back, hoping that Beck will send them for her. And when she gets home, he's like, hey, yeah, I'd totally help you with that, but like first
you gotta do something for me.
The Nazis are trying to gather a list of all of the Jewish people, all of the homosexuals, all of the XYZ.
Yeah.
And I just want you to write down all the names you know from your school.
Yeah.
And she's like, this is easy knowledge to get elsewhere. And he's like, yeah, okay, but like you write them down.
But just write them down for me.
Just write them down for me. And I'll send your letters. And I'll even make it so you can send your husband a care package.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, I don't fucking have a choice, do I? Not only for the like letters to be sent, but like there's a Nazi soldier in my home.
Yeah.
So she starts writing out the list. And once she's done, he's like, I think you're forgetting your friend.
Mm-hmm.
Rachel. And she's forced to write down Rachel's name.
Yeah.
And that's where we ended, Sarah.
Yeah.
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 Oof. Oof.
Man. I wasn't thinking too hard about this while I was reading it.
Yeah.
And now talking to you, I'm like, ah, God.
Yeah. It's
heavy.
Times
are weird, man.
Yep.
Times are weird. So, yeah, that was the first 11 chapters of this gosh darn book.
Yeah, it was.
And I'm sure it's going to be heartbreaking and amazing and empowering and all of the things.
I hope so.
Right?
Yeah.
It's got to be.
I enjoyed the first section.
Me too. I love Kristin Hannah's writing.
Mm-hmm.
Hannah.
Yeah.
Her writing is lovely, and the characters so far are interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I'm invested in both of them.
Me too.
Yeah. And I want to know who the lady in the beginning was.
Yeah.
I mean, you speculated that might be Isabel.
I feel like it has to be.
Right? Maybe.
Yeah.
She had her father's poetry books.
Yeah.
In her trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man, but I'm enjoying it so far.
I am too. And I feel like Gate's got to come back at some point.
You would think Gate would come back.
He has to.
That was like rude too. You're not ready because she told you she loved you?
Because she loves you?
You're afraid of emotions is what I'm hearing.
Typical man.
Yeah, I feel like Gate will come home. I feel like nothing's going to come. I think the husbands are just gone.
Yeah, for sure.
I really don't think anything is going to happen there.
No.
I feel like either Isabel is going to get like caught doing something or make her way up the ranks of this.
Yeah, she's going to start leading the rebellion.
And I feel like that is probably the case because it's a Kristin Hannah. Come on.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, but it's really good so far. How are you guys feeling? Tell us your thoughts.
Yeah.
Next week, we're going to be reading chapters 12 through 20.
Yeah, we are.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Sick. So carry on reading with us for next week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
But, Sarah?
Yeah.
What the hell else are you reading?
Well, do we want to go through that whole list?
I'm currently reading.
Got it. Oh, yeah, you're right. Well, we do normally say what we finish.
But like, hear me out, guys. A month of books. You don't get all of that. If you want to hear about the books we've read over the last month, you can go to our YouTube channel and listen to our personal read check-ins.
Yeah.
They're typically called book reviews and some stuff. I'm sure this one will be like, book review dump. But go check it out if you want to hear about what we've been reading for the last month.
Yeah.
But as it stands, what is current, Sarah?
I'm looking.
Okay.
Give me a second. I forgot.
A hot damn minute.
I'm reading The Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer Lynn Armentrout.
Yes.
This is the third book in the Blood and Ash series.
Yes. She read the other two, guys, over last month.
I did.
Spoilers.
So, if you want to hear my thoughts.
Go
in very, very short
in rapid
form.
fire form.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I say them all? I don't remember.
I feel like we both just go through a list.
And then, and I'm like 25% of the way through that.
Heck yeah.
I don't know page numbers because I forgot to write it down.
It's fine.
And then I'm also reading Nocticadia by Carrie Lake.
Okay.
And yeah.
Cool. Well,
what
Sarah,
are you reading, Danielle?
I'm currently listening to Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince on audiobook.
Okay.
I'm about 45% of the way through.
Great.
And I am also reading the second in the Mistborn series by Brandon Sanderson.
Yay.
It's called The Well of Ascension. And I'm like 180 pages of the way through. I read the first one, guys, and it was really good.
180 pages of the way through.
Yeah, Sarah, what do you got to say about it? You little shit. Just kidding. It was a weird statement. But yeah. Anyway, what are y'all reading?
Yeah.
And read with us.
Please.
Gosh darn it.
We love when you read with us.
We do. And we love when you hang out with us. And we're super happy to be back.
We are.
And we will try not to be morose every time we talk.
I'll try to like actually have something else to say other than next episode.
She'll have read more recently next episode.
Yeah.
That'll help. It sure helped me. I would not have been able to tell you any of that had I not reread it.
Yeah, so. No. I'm like, I remember it all now that you've said it, but I wouldn't have been able to lay it out like that.
No, that's fair.
I can't even do that when I read it the day of recording, honestly.
I have a weird short term. I feel like if I read it the day before, I can tell you in pretty great detail.
Yeah.
But then it's gone in like tomorrow. Actually, after we're done recording, I won't know anything. Yeah. But anyway, again, chapters 12 through 20 for next week of the
Do It or
Nightingale by
Else.
Kristin Hannah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And please, you guys, if you're on YouTube, please subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Give us some likes and some engagement.
Please.
We'd love that. It would help us out a lot.
Yeah. If you're listening on a podcast platform, please leave us a rating and a little blurb telling us that you love us.
Yeah.
Or
and
something.
Why. Or if you don't like us, tell us that too. That's fine.
Yeah. Tell us what we're doing wrong.
Yeah. We'll take it all.
How can I make you love me, please?
Please hang out with us. And you can find us on TikTok and Instagram. Oh, TikTok, we'll be there.
TikTok is questionable.
We'll
be there for now. We'll let you know if we stop.
Shit's changed, guys.
Yeah.
Shit's changing really quickly.
Yeah.
And it's fucked up. It is what it is. But you can find us there and on Instagram and on YouTube at Books Crannies Podcast.
Yes.
If you aren't already there.
Yeah.
And, well, we love you lots. Thanks for hanging out. And
we'll see you next time.
Yeah.
And happy freaking reading.
Okay,
bye.